Hey everyone, welcome back to Limit Breaker Fitness. Monty here again. So today I want to answer the question, does creatine cause kidney stones? I've gotten this question a few times in the last week, so I thought it'd be cool to do a video about it and just put it out there for everyone to see. I think it might be going around online that creatine causes kidney stones. So let's find out. First, we're going to go over creatine and what it does. Then we're going to go over how kidney stones are formed. And then we're going to see what kind of relationship that there is between the two and hopefully clear up any kind of confusion that might be happening. So, creatine. What does creatine do? Well, when we take creatine, creatine goes into our muscles and it binds to a molecule called ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It's not really important that you know all that. That's kind of outside the scope of this video. But what is important to know is that ATP is the molecule that our body uses for energy. Whenever we break down proteins, fats, and carbs, ATP is what we're looking to create. So, creatine binds to ATP, the energy molecule. Why is this important? You see, the more creatine that we have, the more ATP there is in the muscle. And that means we can lift more and we can last a lot longer, if you know what I mean. Don't click off. Please don't click off. There's good stuff coming. So anyway, because we take creatine, we can have more ATP in our muscles, and that means we can lift better. Now, what's important to note about creatine is that it has to have water in order for it to work. So when we take creatine, they tell you you're going to gain some water weight. That's why. Because as the creatine shuffles into the muscle, so does a ton of water. Without the water, creatine will turn into a new molecule called creatinine. I didn't name them. I know, it's a little confusing sometimes. But creatinine, that molecule is completely useless to us. So in the absence of water, creatine turns into creatinine. Creatinine is going to be important later on. Now, the creatinine being useless in the muscle, that gets sent down to the kidneys where it's going to get filtered out and be excreted from the body. So, the kidneys, how does a kidney stone form in the kidneys? Well, there's a few different ways. A couple of them are a UTI or genetic factors. Those definitely factor into it. But the most common causes of kidney stones are a buildup of calcium or uric acid. Think of calcium and uric acid like table salt. You have a bunch of it and you put some water in there and it doesn't completely dissolve. That's what happens in the kidneys. When there's not enough water in the kidneys, then these molecules are going to crystallize right in the kidney and form a kidney stone. Now remember how I said creatine needs water and creatine's going to take water up into the muscles along with it? That's where the water shortage is going to come into play for the kidneys. All the water's going into the muscles because of the creatine, so the kidneys don't have as much to be able to dissolve the calcium and uric acid that it's trying to excrete, and so a kidney stone can form. So, does creatine itself cause a kidney stone? No, the creatine doesn't cause a kidney stone. As long as you're making sure that you drink an adequate amount of water, you're not going to get a kidney stone because of the creatine. The only reason why those two kinds of kidney stones would form is because of dehydration. Now, if you're someone who doesn't drink a lot of water as it is, and then you start taking creatine, then it could be a problem. But as long as you make sure you stay hydrated, creatine is perfectly safe to take. Now, going back to the creatinine, remember I said that was important? The reason why creatinine is important to know about is that a lot of times when they suspect renal failure or the kidneys being damaged, they use creatinine as a measuring stick for it. If you have a high creatinine level, then that could indicate some sort of problem with your kidneys because it means the kidneys aren't taking it out of the blood like they should. But if we're taking creatine, our creatinine levels are going to be high, which means when they take a test to test for the kidneys, then it could result in a false positive because the creatinine is high, not because our kidneys aren't working, but because we're taking creatine as a supplement. So a better way for them to test the kidneys in somebody who's taking creatine is to look at something called the glomerular filtration rate. Now, once again, that's something that's outside of the scope of this video, but if that's something you are interested in, I've got a study that I'm going to link down below that I was reading over. They do a great job explaining about creatinine and the glomerular filtration rate in the kidneys and how all that stuff works. But for our purposes, all we need to know is that high creatine levels means that we need more water. Because we need more water, we have to drink more water. If we don't, then we could end up with kidney stones. But the creatine itself, that's not going to cause a kidney stone. Creatine. I told you guys this was difficult. Creatine it's a perfectly safe supplement. It's been studied countless times. Just make sure you drink enough water. That was a whole lot to say, drink more water. But hey, I'll tell you what. If you are going to go check out that study, do me a favor. Also hit that like and share button. Especially the share. Like the subscribe button too. Obviously you want to get the subscribe rate numbers up. But please tell a friend. We were doing pretty well with our ice hack video from a couple weeks ago. And I'm really glad that information's getting out there. So if you found this helpful, please tell a friend. Whether you share it online, tell them in person. My goal for this channel is to get good information out to everybody and really make sure people don't fall for these things. So that's it, really. limitbreakerfitnessllc@gmail.com. Send me an email. I can work with you one-on-one. And follow me on Instagram. See you later, guys.